Hi, and welcome to my March bullet journal setup. I'm so excited to make this setup for March. March is testing season, or the beginning of testing season for teachers, so I really wanted to create a bullet journal that was going to kind of like keep me sane during this crazy time of the year. And if you're a teacher, you already know how crazy it can get. So I wanted to create a kind of floral theme. I do live in Florida where it's pretty much spring and summer all year round. So it doesn't really get like too cold. I mean, it was 40 degrees this morning, but that's pretty much the coldest that it's going to get in Florida. And things pretty much bloom all year round as well. So I was inspired by the flowers that I saw outside of my home. There's like one singular rose that's outside of my house. And I was also inspired by things that I saw on Pinterest that had like that floral theme, which I just really feel is very tranquil and kind of like keeps me calm during this like very trying time as a teacher. So one of the flowers I was also inspired by was on Pinterest, and it's by myparkinsonsinfo.com. I don't know if that's a create author, but that's how it was listed on Pinterest. And so I was really inspired by the flowers and wanted to continue that theme or have that kind of like feel in my own notebook. Mine's came out a little bit differently than theirs, but I think I got like the gist of it. Now, March is going to be, like I said in the beginning, a very intense time for teachers because it's going to be the beginning of testing season. For me, especially, it's going to be a little bit hectic because I am a tested social studies subject. And so, pretty much every time this time of year comes around, I get very stressed out. I even have nightmares where my students are like coming to me in my nightmares and they're like, hey, you didn't teach us this is on the test, and I like start freaking out. So I definitely wanted to create a bullet journal setup that was going to keep me calm during this very trying time where you kind of just like lose yourself with all the things that you have to do and the stress of preparing your students for the test. And you know that like you did a good job preparing your students throughout the year, but then it's just kind of like that little like teacher voice in the back of your head that's like, oh, but you could have did this better, you could have did that better. So for this bullet journal, I wanted it to be very calming and something that I would just enjoy looking at during this testing season. Now, for those of you who have asked, my bullet journals are for the things that I do after school. So I do have a separate planner that I use in school, but one of the rules that I have is I do not bring it home at all for no reason, because I don't want to plan anything at home. I kind of just want to be done with school when I'm done with school and have the time to myself after school, which a lot of teachers sometimes tend to forget that, you know, we already spend 8 hours in the day. There's no reason for us to spend 2 more hours after school and taking away from our friends and families and things that we really want to do. So it's very important that we always remember that and we plan for the things that we want to do outside of school. And so this one is all the things that I do in regards to like Teachers Pay Teachers and the things that I need to upload. It's just going to keep track of all those things that I have outside of my school life that are important to me, to make sure that I pretty much like, you know, stay on track with this and then when I'm teaching. One thing I wanted to learn new this year was calligraphy, and I've actually been taking a couple different classes online and watching videos. I'm still not there yet. I mean, some people's calligraphy are just so gorgeous. I'm still not there yet. I've only been doing it for a couple of months, but you know, the progress that I've been making through just like learning how to do it has really helped me understand that calligraphy is not like handwriting, but it's more of like an art. And so once I got that out of my head, it's become easier to write, but I'm still working on it. As you can see, it's not, you know, 100% the best, but it's getting there. Now I'm just making a calendar to keep track of all of my dates. And so I wanted to include a quote at the bottom that would kind of just like keep me going, because I do reference my calendar a lot and I fill it in with the important things that I need to do throughout the month and throughout the weeks. And it's all about kind of like making sure I remember that, you know, things are going to be a struggle, but I just have to keep pushing through it. And so the quote says, you will be happy, said life, but first I must make you strong. And I just really resonated with that quote and wanted to add that to the bottom of my calendar. Now these flowers, I have no idea what they're called, but I just think they're so beautiful, and I think I might continue this theme for April of like March flowers. So if you have any like specific flowers that you think would be really pretty to draw, then let me know in the comments below of some like different flowers that I can draw in my upcoming spreads. Now I'm just going in with this little like circle thing that I got from Michaels, and I'm just adding some details to kind of make the spread more like whimsical with like little, I think they kind of look like fairy dust to me personally, but just adding that to my bullet journal. Something that I've kind of been missing in my art from like the past is detail. So like I always knew that I can draw, but I never really spent the time to add in detail. And I realized this when I saw like this thing on Pinterest, and it was like the time it takes to draw something. So like the difference between taking 10 minutes, taking 30 minutes, and taking an hour is such a vast difference. And so I've really been focusing on just spending more time on my artwork. And since I've been doing that practice, like not just spending 5 minutes, but maybe spending 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I've been seeing such an improvement in my art and how I've been doing things. Now, I did get this bullet journal from Michaels kind of like on a whim. I didn't have enough time to order a new bullet journal by the time that January came around. So I just went to Michaels to see, you know, what was in there. And I bought this like very cheap bullet journal. It was like maybe $7. But the only problem with this bullet journal is that it bleeds through like crazy. And what I mean is like on the other side, it just like soaks in all of the marker, which is really good if you're doing things on one side. You want a piece of paper that soaks in the ink to really saturate the paper. But if you're doing a bullet journal, then that's kind of like a bad thing, because then you get what it looks like at the bottom of this one, where literally it just all soaked through. So I am looking into getting a new bullet journal. I'm looking at the Archer and Olive ones. She's coming out with a new line March 1st, and it's kind of like a glittery kind of notebook, and glitter is my jam. So I might actually just like bite the bullet and go in and invest into getting a new notebook. Now, my most favorite thing about my bullet journals is my one tracker that I actually have in it, which is my content tracker. And so what a content tracker is I just track what I work on in regards to the things that I do after school. So if I'm, making a resource for Teachers Pay Teachers, or if I'm recording a video, then I'll just create kind of like a little color key, and I'll just track what I'm uploading and what I'm making. And this really gives me an insight into like what I'm doing and how much effort or how much time I'm kind of putting into each thing that I want to do. So to make the content tracker, you just draw a rectangle and then you split it into the amount of days for the month. So March has 30 days, and then you just write the number, and then so each day you just like color in each rectangle of what you worked on, and then just write down like what you did for that day. So by doing this, I saw that I actually have like really no focus. I kind of just like do things, and by like going with the flow, like whatever comes to me is what I do. And so I really want to work on that and become more kind of like strategic in what I'm doing each day. Now on the other side is going to be my monthly uploads. So I wanted to keep track of the 4 things that I upload throughout the month, and that's things to Teacher Pay Teachers, YouTube, my actual website, MissSocialStudiesTeacher.com, and then my free resource library. And so I wanted to keep track of each individual thing that I'm doing as far as uploads. So for example, I try for 4 uploads a month for each category. And I know it sounds like a lot, but at this point I have pretty much templates for everything, so it's pretty much easy to like get things out. And so this is like really keeping me kind of like on track of like what I am and what I'm not uploading. And it's always great to look back to see what you did and didn't do, and kind of like how you can improve for next month. So I'm just going to go in and make my first weekly spread, and as you can see, I mean, the ink completely bled through even to the other side of the paper. So I decided that I was just gonna make some flowers to cover it up on some cardstock. And so this is kind of like my thing to do now, is like I'll make pieces of artwork on cardstock and then just glue it into the notebook. I don't know, I just like that, like a layered look. And so I'm going to just make a March calendar at the bottom just to keep track of the days. Now, when drawing these flowers, it was a little bit difficult to kind of keep track of like how I wanted it to look, but I think they came out pretty good. I would assume they came out pretty good. I really did try my hardest to make them look good, to put them into my notebook. Now this part did take a extremely long time, so I did cut out a majority of it because this video would be so long if I left it all in. I guess maybe if I like increase the speed by like 1,000%, like this video would be under like 20 minutes, but this part did take a long time. So if you don't have time to like do this part, then you can just like draw it directly on the page. And if you just feel like you don't have time to do a bullet journal at all, you can not be extra like me and just make it super simple and just draw like little flower doodles. It's up to you. So we're gonna do a flip through of my March bullet journal layout. So we have my cover page, and then we have my calendar with my quote at the bottom. Then we have my content tracker, and then my March uploads. And then we have the first weekly spread with the cutout flowers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in April.